Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. It is now 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 9th. I am calling this meeting to order. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's all please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. That brings us right to our treasury report. Jamie, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Tonight we're looking at the financials through October 31st of 2023. The financials currently present a net budget surplus of approximately $1 million. Of this amount, $400,000 is earnings and other revenue that were not anticipated. This is largely made up of our interest earnings from Treasury Direct and a small amount of grant funds that we have received to date. Tonight, now that we're through the budget, everything was approved at the last meeting. We filed it with the town as required. It's available for the public on our website. I'm recommending now that we do budget transfers for 2023. These are going to be for accounts where the spending is already over budget for 2023. In the example, in some instances, it's just the actual amount of the overage, and in other, it is an anticipated amount needed for what's over plus what will get us through the remainder of the year. And so I have those presented tonight. There is a motion that was provided to the board if you want to make the budget transfers at this time. Again, these are accounts that are currently already over budget. I do anticipate we will still need some year-end budget transfers, which we normally will do in February once we've kind of closed out the year. The biggest one of those that we're anticipating, as we've talked about, is going to be our hospital expense, because it's not over budget currently, but it will be over budget. But at this time, rather than estimate, I've left that one off the list for right now. So the main accounts that we need transfers are going to be our building, property repairs and maintenance, transferring some of the funds back to vehicle maintenance, our computer software and internet, and then some other just small movement of how things are categorized from our consultant fees. So that's in the agenda for this evening, so you'll take care of that when we get to there. Just moving on, so just high level on the construction projects, we received 2 additional change orders for the Chester Heights project that I know it's going to be talked about later. I just want to point out that this will now bring us over the total that we had included in the permissive referendum. So typically when we originally got the bid, I think it was $635,000. We always give some allowances in the permissive referendum. That was when we went out to the public to authorize us to use the capital reserve funds. We did it for an amount of $760,000 to give us room. Again, with these changes, we will be going over that amount. So I'm just pointing this out now. There's nothing we have to do at this time, but we will get to the point where, similar to what happened with the last phase of this project, where the board will have to decide whether they either want to do a second permissive referendum for the remainder of this project, or whether at that point you want to use the general fund. So after the permissive referendum, we're anticipating having about $360,000 remaining in our capital reserve. So again, not necessarily anything you have to do this evening, but just want to put it on the radar. There is a bill that's been submitted but not yet approved by the architect, so it's not included in tonight's warrant, but B&B has submitted another invoice for about $140,000. So by the next invoice, it is possible that we're looking at how we want to proceed. So if the board knows at this time that it wants to do a secondary permissive referendum, that's something I could start speaking to the lawyer about. But if not, we can just monitor it for, the next meeting. Our RFP for audit services, we have now received 3 notifications of interest from bidders, which means we've had 3 people that have affirmatively said that they plan to bid on our audit work. The bids are due November 30th. At that time, we'll provide the board with the information, and we have the timeline set so that the board can make a decision at the December meeting, and we can notify the winning bidder by December 18th. Treasury Direct, we currently have $8 million invested in 4-week treasury bills. Current interest rates are hanging around 5.3%. As we mentioned already, to date, we've earned approximately $300,000 in interest, and all of this money is being allocated to the tower ladder that we anticipate being delivered in early 2024. And then just some housekeeping items where, this is the time of year where we're kind of waiting on Night Ship to let us know what the rates are going to look like for next year so we can start notifying our members and our retirees. We will issue Medicare Part B reimbursements to our retirees in early December. And our retirement bill, our pension invoice came in today, as everybody saw. It is in the amount of, it's identical to the estimated invoice, which is an amount of, actually I have the wrong amount here. Where is it? Here it is. $2,736,707. So there's also a motion tonight to pay that bill. We typically pay by December 15th to take advantage of a prepaid discount, and the discount this year is approximately $20,000. And that's everything.
Thank you, Jamie.
Any questions?
Thanks, Jamie.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everybody. Chief's monthly report, alarm activity, 370 alarms, 2 fire-related, 205 EMS calls, and we gave mutual aid 2 times, once to Pelham Fire Department and once to Mount Vernon Fire Department. The old 2102 vehicle that was flooded during the remnants of Hurricane Ida has been auctioned off, and we received the payment of $16,300. Vehicle and equipment maintenance is being done in-house as much as possible by part-time mechanic Hank Henniger. His report was emailed to the board on November 8th. And the district received a Dell hard-case laptop with diagnostic software for Cummins engines, Allison transmissions, and Meritor rear axles. And the part-time mechanic received the orientation training that will allow him to diagnose apparatus issues in-house, which should lead to shorter out-of-service times and lower repair costs. Tim Dalton's weekly maintenance reports for October were emailed to the board on November 8th as well. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections. The fire prevention reports were emailed to the board on November 7th, and October was fire prevention month, so the fire prevention office was busy. I want to thank them and all the members for doing numerous demonstrations provided to the local schools and to community organizations. Currently, we have 3 members out on long-term absence, and B&B Contracting Group continues the work at the Chester Heights Firehouse. On November 6th, the board was emailed 2 change orders to complete the work on the front sidewalk. That one's for $9,909, and a second change order for the mechanical systems, which is $80,917. The board was emailed 3 quotes from Motorola Solutions and ESS for radio equipment and service. The annual preventative maintenance service for our radios, the base radios, is $10,020. There's a second quote for 2 portable radios, spare microphones, batteries, pagers, and a new UHF radio for Tower Ladder 17. That quote is for $20,050.84 with Motorola Solutions. And we also ordered 5 mobile radios with antennas, engraving for some pagers, for $6,243.81. I would request the board approve all 3 quotes. And we received word from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York that the $500,000 SAM grant, sponsored by New York State Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, will be processed on Thursday, November 16th. The application process has taken approximately 3 years, partly due to COVID, partly due to certain requirements that they asked us to do. So that'll be good. I don't know if processing the payment means that it's going to be deposited in our account or if that's the next step, but it's been going on for 3 years. So my hope is that they're processing the payment, that it'll be deposited in our account next Thursday the 16th. So that's the end of my report, unless anyone has questions.
Well done, persevered.
Yeah, I really want to thank former Commissioner Tom Roche. He was the one that contacted Amy Paulin, and, I had never even heard of a SAM grant. It's called a State and Municipal Grant, and apparently, state senators and state assembly people have monies to give out, so it was great to reach out to her, and the money was actually designated for reimbursement for payment of Ladder 16, which we received in 2020. So it's a reimbursement type grant. So we had placed the order but hadn't received it yet, which is a requirement. So that $500,000 was part payment for the $1.07 million ladder truck that we got 3 years ago. So that was almost half of what it cost us for the ladder truck. So that was a good thing.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, Isam.
Commissioners, for community outreach for October, the website had 525 new visitors. Once again, the hiring process page is the top performing page. The November newsletter is now going to be sent out on November 13th. Our office received 3 foils in October. For the fire district election, once again, the fire district election materials, they're updated and available on our website, eastchesternyfd.gov. A reminder that November 22nd at 4 p.m. is the deadline for petitions for candidates if they're interested in running for fire commissioner this year. So just keep that date in mind if you're interested. The signed agreement for the Westchester County Board of Elections was sent out on October 26th. Absentee ballots have been prepared for the November 22nd mailing for the PS&D list. And then for the election inspector letters, they were sent out October 24th. It does seem we are still in need of quite a few inspectors, so if you have anyone to recommend, please let them know my contact information and I can send them more information. And then regarding records, the signed LGRMIF report was sent online, and as well as the signed copies to the State Education Department on November 8th. And then if the board is interested, I will send more information as well. They did ask if we would be interested in applying for the grant in the 2024-2025 cycle. So if the board would want to see some funds come through for any records projects, I can have an orientation meeting with them. Of course, they offered that next week or the following, so I could send more information on that if the board is interested in me pursuing that. So just something to keep in mind for the records. And everything else as needed in the office, so thank you.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Isan.
Okay, so got a few motions here. Under our business office recommendations, so 6.1, payment of bills.
I make a motion that be paid.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with 1 set of bills and 1 credit card bill. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. Treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant number 1 dated 11/9/23 for $46,109.60. And a credit card bill dated 11/18/23 for $4,119.29 for a total of $50,228.89. I'll make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll give it to Sarasi. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
No.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Budget transfers as per Jamie's earlier discussion. Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to make the recommended budget transfers for those GL accounts where the year-to-date 2023 expenditures have exceeded the amount budgeted for the GL account as follows. Transfer from account 3090.2 certiorari to 1150.5 insurance for $15,094.47. Transfer from also 3090.2 certiorari to 3240.3 building property repairs and maintenance for $86,000. Transfer from 3160.4 fire training to 3105.4 uniforms for $5,000. Transfer from 341081 disabled fireman salary to 3412.1 retroactive salary for $124.80. transfer from 3410.81 disabled fireman salary to 3125.4 computer software and internet, $15,100. Transfer from 3410.81 disabled fireman salary to 3210.3 vehicle maintenance for $22,000. Transfer from 3410.47 mechanic salary to 3210.3 vehicle maintenance, $12,000. To 3230.3 ladder and pump testing, $897.35. To, next, 3140.4 subscriptions to 3145.4 association dues, $45. 3410 professional consultants, Jamie? Yeah, 3410.47 for mechanic salary and professional consultants, that number's incorrect? On the front side, you said 3410.47 mechanic salary, and down below that, you have 34.10 professional consultants.
Second to last and fourth to last.
So, well, I need the two numbers for professional consultants, yeah. Sorry.
Good catch.
Salary is 34,100.17
Oh, so 3410.47 is correct, but 3410.17.
for mechanics salary.
All right, so 3410.17 for mechanics salary. Again, those prior two motions were to move to 3210.3 vehicle maintenance, $12,000, and to 3230.3 ladder and pump testing, $897.35. Now, under 3140.4 subscriptions to 3145.4 association dues, $45. 3410.47 professional consultants to 3410.46 consultant fees, $4,500, and to 3410.48 labor consultants for $297, for a total of $161,058.62. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
Yes.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next one is our pension. So we have, be it resolved, that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the Eastchester Fire District's New York State and local retirement system pension contribution invoice for 2024 in the amount of $2,736,707. This amount includes the district's ERS and PFRS contributions and is net of the prepayment discount of $19,680. Can I get a second on that one?
A second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
Yes.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, and on the chief's requests, this one is for the radio equipment and services. Be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Tween to purchase the following radio equipment and services: an annual maintenance contract with ESS for a total of $10,020, 2 new portable radios and radio accessories with Motorola Solutions for a total of $20,050.84, and mobile radios for 2 new vehicles with ESS for a total of $6,243.81. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
Yes.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And for Station 4, change orders 13 and 14, be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves change order number 13 from B&B for Station 4 for a proposed cost of $80,917. Be it also resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves change order number 14 from B&B for Station 4 for the proposed cost of $9,909. Even. I get a second on those two.
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
No.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, that brings us just to our future meeting day, which is December 14th, 2 days after the election. So we'll know on the 14th who's going to be our next newbie on the board here.
Commissioner, if we do get the money from Amy Paulin, do we want to maybe invite her to the next meeting to thank her, or
Sure.
maybe give her a plaque or something, I don't know, of appreciation?
Sure, we can definitely do that.
All right, so we'll see if we get the money.
That's a good suggestion, yeah,
Should
sure.
invite Tom back too.
We could. He can come to every meeting.
That's true.
He's a member of the public now. All right, so that leaves us 2 comments for Local 916. I don't see anybody here. And that brings us 2 comments from the public.
Diane Barberin.
I'm sorry,
Diane Barberin. So I'm here to discuss about the stalker that you guys must have hired to take pictures of myself and my daughter, and I want to know why you did it, and why did you put our lives in danger? We do not work for the town of Eastchester, so why would you do that?
The majority of the board who approved that, however many years ago, is no longer on the board.
Hold on. I don't care if this was 10 years ago. You guys took pictures of myself and my daughter. I want to know who authorized it.
Well,
Who
let's go-
gave,
let's
why
go
would
ba-
you
let's-
do that?
Let's go back a bit. Are you, what are you,
Discuss any particular case.
No,
I
but-
just want to say this, on 3/29/2021, the majority of the board voted to hire an investigator. Your comment was, it's not something we wanted to do. I can assure you the majority of the board had about 90 years of firefighting experience. It's not something the board wanted to do, and I would just leave it at that. I wouldn't talk about a particular case. I don't think we're authorized to talk about a particular case.
So you just had this guy take pictures of myself and my daughter, and you think it's okay? You're good with
well,
that?
there was part of a larger, there was a bigger issue here. It wasn't just taking pictures of
I
you.
don't think
No,
we
it
should
was.
talk
I
about
have
it.
it right
I don't
here.
talk about anything, no.
I have the pictures
Don't
right
think
here.
you should talk about
Okay, so,
Okay, so I want to know why. So you got to tell me why you did that, and who authorized it. You think
Well-
it's funny? I don't think it's funny.
we'll have to take it back. I'm sorry, we'll have to take it back to our attorneys and speak with them. We can't
No,
discuss it
you
in
got to
public.
discuss it now. I'm here. I'm the public. I'm here. You had somebody come and stalk myself and my daughter, and I want to know why. You can't answer me, because you know you're wrong what you did,
I can't discuss it.
because you're wrong, because you can't. You have no answers. I need an answer before I leave. I want to know why you guys did that, and who authorized it. You put my life and my daughter's life in danger. There's a reason why you did it, and I want to know why.
Okay.
You have no answers, right? You're sitting
Like I
up there
said,
dumbfounded.
we're not going to discuss this in public.
But I am a resident in town. It is public. Did you do this to any other women and children? Or is it just me and my daughter? Does the town need to be notified that you have a stalker going around? Obviously, because it was done. I got the proof right here. It's me and my daughter. By you guys. How can we even trust you? You have no answers. You're up there,
nothing-
sitting up there
I have no
dumbfounded.
comment right now.
You
No,
guys
I
should
have no
leave.
comment.
How dare you do that? Dumbfounded. Every one of you sitting up there.
Excuse me, I wasn't here at that time, so don't mention me in that
Well, I don't
place.
know who you are.
Thank you. I wasn't on this board.
All right, so, but you guys were here. And you did it, and you know why you did it. You're just covering it up.
We just cannot discuss it in public. So I'm not sure what you want us to say.
Well, I want to know why you did it. Why did you hire, or who authorized this stalker to follow myself and my daughter around? There's a reason why you did it. What are you afraid of? You weren't afraid when you guys did it. You have no answers.
No.
Shame on each and every one of you. And I think it's very creepy. Shame on you. This is a disgrace. Never in my life did I ever experience anything like this. A disgrace to this town.
Thank you.
How you doing? Anthony Barberin. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's my mother. Makes a valid point. You know, we spoke last meeting. We asked for answers on this. You know, so what are the answers? Who authorized the investigations into Kenny on 2 occasions? One based on a FOIL request and one based on evidence that was pictures taken of him being out sick, but yet he wasn't. It was all pictures of my mom and my sister. So to me, being in the industry that I was in, you need probable cause for investigations. You don't have any. So who authorized it? I thought last time we spoke, we were on good terms, you were gonna figure everything out for me and everything like that.
And like I said, we just don't want to discuss this right now in public.
Right, so that's the problem though, why? You know, like she said, why
I think you know why. That's why you asking us.
There's a forum that you, and there's a process, right? You can foil it.
You can hold off, you can hold off, I'm not done.
Excuse me?
I said you can hold off, I'm not finished with my time up here.
I'm gonna answer your question.
I don't want you to answer my question.
There's a process, and you can go through the process. The board is not at liberty, they're not entitled, they're not able to discuss a particular case. I think you know that.
Okay,
So we're sorry that we cannot talk about it.
all right, so let's put it like this.
So,
There was a complaint that came from Mr. Bonsi, right, Chief Bonsi. It wasn't a complaint.
can't talk about it.
Okay, it wasn't a complaint. It was a FOIL request. Mr. Carlo said it was a FOIL request. When in the history of anywhere, and tell me right now as an example, who investigates anybody off of a FOIL request? Can you tell me?
We can't talk about it. The chief can tell you a process if a,
Okay,
can I just answer you with?
you're going back and forth.
I'm not going back and
asking you-
forth. I'm
I'm
gonna
asking
answer,
you a
I'm gonna
simple
answer
question.
respectfully.
I'm
I'd like,
asking you,
I'd like,
Brian, listen. Don't try and get into with me, okay? Please don't, because we used to be friends, and the
We
stuff
still-
that you
we
used to
still
talk
are.
about Tony and Bonsi and all them, don't make me bring that up right now. So just be quiet and let
I
me talk.
don't know what you're just talking about,
Yeah,
but
you
I will
do.
just,
You
I'm
do.
gonna
Don't play
answer your
games.
question.
Don't play
I'm
games.
Commissioner Keating. I'm part of the board here. You're asking about a process. There is a process to find information out. Just wanted to say that.
Okay.
The chief, you're asking about, can a firefighter, is that what you're asking, a firefighter be
No.
looked at based on a resident complaint? I don't know the answer to that.
Right, I know the answer to that. So my question to
Okay,
you is,
so then-
can a firefighter be investigated based on a FOIL complaint?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, you don't. Well, you did it. You investigated him on a FOIL complaint. He's put in many, I've put in many.
I'm not gonna talk about it. You're saying what I did, but I'm not gonna say anything that I did.
Or am I talking to everybody here? Are you gonna let me talk?
Yes,
Or are we
please.
gonna just argue back and forth?
No, I'm not gonna
I
argue.
can stay here all night. I don't want to. I want to get my point across. My point across is that why are we investigating people based on FOIL complaints from a chief of police who has no business writing any type of FOIL complaint about a 207A incident, which Chief Tween then turned around the next day and said it didn't exist? The man didn't work at Home Depot for 5 years, yet he was investigated, and we found this out after the fact on 2 occasions. So my question is, why is this going on? Because if so, then I'm going to FOIL request that everybody on this board be investigated. I'm going to FOIL request that you open an investigation into Chief Bonsi and why he put fake things against a firefighter and first responder of this town.
I can't answer that
Right.
for you.
So last meeting, we had a very good rapport going. This meeting, you want to argue with me about things that
Not
you
arguing
know
with
I'm
you.
right on.
I'm not arguing, just telling you there's a process.
Right. And so what's the process? Because we foiled, you don't want to answer. We come to meetings, you don't want to answer. I didn't argue last meeting. I asked simple questions and I wanted simple answers back, and I'm not getting it. I'm not here to bash Chief Tween. I've worked with Chief Tween. He's a great man. I've worked with him on many calls,
We all know that.
okay? No, you don't know that because you're not a first responder and you don't know anything about first responders. You want to shut down first responders, and you should be ashamed of that. Okay? But I'm sick. I really am. I'm sick. I'm sick to know that my mother and sister were shot around, you know, with all these pictures, and this guy gets garroted twice. And when I come to you with real evidence saying, why did you do it? You can't give me an answer. And I know why you can't give me an answer. Trust me, I know why you can't give me an answer. Because the other board that comes here is the one that's behind it, and you guys don't want to get involved. And I totally understand it. I don't want to be here to be involved with that. But what took place with me and the corruption that goes on in this town is going to come to an end. It's gonna, whether they like it or whether they don't. And I don't want anybody here to be involved with it. That's why I'm trying to get my answers to move on. But you keep on procrastinating and procrastinating and procrastinating. So when I go and file a FOIL request for who authorized the investigations illegally into this man, are you going to give me an answer?
We have to respond to it.
Right. And you're going to respond back probably denied. And I'm going to come
I
back
don't
to the
know- I don't
meeting,
know how.
and
I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
ask you again.
No, I don't know. Submit the request.
Right, there's a process.
Right.
That's
There's-
all.
Right, there's a process. We've done the process and we've gotten no answers. So I hope everybody sees that's watching tonight the disgracefulness of what's going on in Eastchester and how board members can sit up there and argue with the public about things that they know that are wrong. And like my mother said, shame on you guys. Shame on you. And Chief Tween, I respect you a lot, man. I really do. And I've worked with you, like I said, and I really do respect you a lot. And I don't want you getting caught up in this, but this was wrong what happened. It's wrong. And there's no legal basis behind it, and nobody can tell me anything. And one thing I said, and I said it loud to everybody on the news, they might call me a liar, they might call me this, they might call me that, but there's one thing they didn't do. They haven't disproved me yet. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Ken Simonides, 144 Anderson. My family is very annoyed with the conduct of this Board of Fire Commissioners, except for you, Mr. Sarasi, because you were not part of the board. And Chief, I know you're just following whatever direction that they give you, so it falls onto the three of them up there, and also former Commissioner Tom Roach and Stu Rabin, because they were part of the time and era of that investigation. Now, Chief Tween, I have a question for you as far as the investigator. I've put in FOIL request after FOIL request asking for the name and the address of this investigator that came around to photograph my wife and my teenage daughter at the time. And your response back to me is my request is denied because it may cause some harm to that investigator. Do you think that I'm going to go out and assassinate this guy?
We run all FOIL requests by our attorneys, and they will help draft a response, and that was their recommended response, and we believe that was the correct response to reply to your FOIL request.
Okay. So another point that I'm going to make on that is that the Board of Fire Commissioners and the attorney that's representing the Board of Fire Commissioners or giving you guys a legal advice didn't have any consideration for my wife and my daughter and their safety. Because the pictures that I have of my daughter, she's at the end of the driveway and that guy's literally like right there.
Was he in your driveway? I mean, my understanding was that they're not allowed to go on your property, that they're in the public street.
Yeah, but they're right there in front of my house. And my teenage daughter.
If they went on your property, that's all,
My teenage daughter is not the subject of the Eastchester Fire District. Never has been and never will be. Mm-hmm. She shouldn't have been photographed. Same thing with my wife. Now, I was brought in for a Garrity hearing by you based on something that happened on November 8th.
Well, it's not a Garrity hearing. You were advised of your Garrity rights that says you can't claim the Fifth Amendment, but anything you say will not be held against you legally. So it's not a Garrity hearing. You're advised of your Garrity rights and your rights to union representation as we would do with anybody.
Okay, but you also put in the thing that if I don't come in and answer the questions, which I did, that I would be subject to further disciplinary action. Can you explain to me what that was?
I think it said possible discipline, not further discipline, because the questionings are not discipline. And I don't believe there was ever any charges, but again, we can't talk about specific cases at a public meeting, so I can't go into your specific case in a public meeting.
All right, well, I can, because
Yeah,
it
you
happened to
can
me.
say whatever
I'm the
you want.
public, and I'm gonna speak about it.
Okay.
I also asked you, Chief, in the FOIL request that I wanted all photographs, any SIM cards that have the photographs of my wife and my daughter, any reports that are generated and sent to the Board of Fire Commissioners, to you, to the attorney's office up in Binghamton, wherever the hell he is. You sent me copies of 4 pictures. Now, where's the SIM cards? Where are the other photographs? And I'm sure that there was videos taken of that because one of the questions that you brought me into for was that you said, the report said that I was just coming home with the Mini Cooper. Now, the pictures that I have are from January 28th of 2022. If you go back into the schedule, work schedule, I never worked in Group 3, ever. unless it was overtime or whatever else, a special call, or I did a mutual, so on and so forth. You brought me in for questioning on that, and the lawyer was starting to go into semantics about where do you shop and all sorts of other things, and I think you realized that the date in question was inappropriate because you guys went into the back to discuss whatever, and the questioning was over. Again, I want a letter from the Board of Fire Commissioners and the attorney stating that all the investigative work that was done on me from an illegal point of view, based on a FOIL request and hearsay, we could have solved this very easily. And it would have been solved by you just saying to me, Ken, look, we got this FOIL request. It states that you were out on 207A, which you knew that I was not because I never gave you a submitted 207A packet for my shoulder. I was out for a rotator cuff surgery. As far as the other thing with his claim, Chief Bonsi's claim that I was working at Home Depot in Thornwood. There is no Home Depot in Thornwood. It's in Mount Pleasant. I could have easily went to the HR department, which I did, and I provided it to you and the attorney, Mr. Sedgwick, that stated that I stopped working at the Home Depot in 2016. I had to further produce my income tax records, which I did. And on the advice of the union counsel, I redacted my wife's information and my daughter's information, because again, they're not part of the fire department and never have and never will be. I was further advised through another memorandum from you that I failed to produce documentation, which is false. I produced the documentation with the redacted things that I was advised to by counsel, and you guys wanted to have the full boat for whatever reason. Why was my wife's and daughter's tax information relevant to what I was going through?
I can't speak about any specific
all right.
case, I'm sorry.
All right, so what it seems to me is that people do things and there's no accountability. But meanwhile, you want to have accountability for me and anybody else that is in the same and similar situation. That is totally inappropriate. That is totally, based on a FOIL request, you guys, I mean, that's illegal. That's an illegal investigation. And you guys are going to be subject to some type of ramifications from that as far as a lawsuit, because you conducted an illegal investigation based on a FOIL request and hearsay. Lies. That's what you based it on. Got anything to say there, Commissioner Keating?
No, thanks.
No, yeah, of course. Of course. You know, you were pretty snotty the other meeting because you put your hand on your head like, how dare I get up here and speak?
All I can say to you is 2 months ago you walked in and said, I didn't call you. I say it again. Please don't interrupt me. We've been friends for over 2 decades. I still think we're friends. Whenever I see you, I will wave hello. I will look to say hi to you, and I don't feel the way you feel.
Well, Brian, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you this question. If you were a friend like you claimed to be, and you saw me outside, how come you didn't come over and say hello? Or come over and talk to me?
I have said hello to you for over 2 decades.
Brian, I'm asking you a specific question, and I
Can't
want an
answer
answer
any
from
other
you.
way than we've been friends for over 2 decades.
Brian, you saw me outside in front of my house when you were coming by to slow down and take a look. How come you didn't stop? You saw me outside. How come you didn't come over and say, Ken, is there anything that we could do for you?
Kenny, I'm happy to say hello to you every single time, which I've done.
That boat sailed. That's done. That boat sailed. You had your opportunity, and you basically shunned me
Fine.
and treated me like I was a
I
piece of
don't
garbage.
feel that way. I still think we're friends.
And Commissioner Randall?
We've been friends. We're neighbors. We live 5 houses away from one another for over 2 decades.
Right.
I still think we're friends. I hope you don't feel that way about me, and I hope.
So I would expect some type of a courtesy and have you come over and say, Ken, is there anything that we can do as
Last
a
month
board
I
of fire
said I'd
commissioners?
come over and visit you.
No,
and
no,
you
no, no,
yelled
no, no,
at
no,
me.
no. That's the Brian. I was out for almost a year with my rotator cuff surgery. Not once, not one time did you come down Hey, Ken, is there
Me-
anything that we can do?
Let me
No.
just say this. We've known one another for 2 decades, right?
Right,
We've been friends for 2 decades.
right.
We've been neighbors 5 houses, maybe shorter as the crow flies, for over 2 decades.
Right.
I've said hello every single time I've seen you.
Did you come over to my house when I was out for the year?
I did not come into your house,
Okay,
no.
okay. When you came and drove by my house and slowed down and saw me standing outside, did you come over and say hello?
Did I wave hello?
No, you didn't.
Yes,
No,
I
you
did.
did not. You
Yes.
did not wave hello.
Kenny, I've been saying hello
Listen,
for 2
I'm not
decades.
going to get into semantics with you, Brian, because
I know, but
you
this
know for a
is-
fact that you've gotten caught
Yes.
sneaking by my house and slowing down.
Can I just say this, please? I think we're friends. I think we'll always be friends. I can't believe that you feel this way. This is ridiculous to do to the public. I wish you'd come and say hello to me. I'll come tomorrow and say hello to
No,
you.
don't come to
But
me
you
say hello
can't
to me
say
tomorrow.
2 months ago you didn't call me when
no,
you
no.
won't even say hello to me on the street.
Brian,
This
Brian.
shouldn't be in the public.
It should be in the public,
come
because the
on.
public needs to know the type of individual that you are.
Well, that's not
Because
very
what you've done is disgraceful.
That's not nice of you.
It's disgraceful, Brian. It may be nice, it may be not nice, I don't really care. Okay, that's first and foremost.
Fine. I don't feel that
Commissioner
way.
Ranalone, you and I were partners in the fire department for how many years?
Quite a few.
Okay, the whole year that I was out with my rotator cuff surgery, did you ever call me? Say, hey, Kenny, how you doing?
Not that I can recall.
No, you didn't. I'll refresh your memory. You didn't. Okay? You did call me once. I will give you that credit that you did call me once. The one time that I went to the hospital, you called me and made sure that I was okay. You
Kenny,
did that.
there's
And I will
nothing stopping you from having called us. But I'm confident that Paul Ranalone or myself or Paul Carlo said hello to you each and every time they saw you. Nobody has anything against you.
In
fact,
public-
I think we're friends. We've been friends for over 2 decades. We don't need to have this conversation.
We do need to have this conversation because it's important to me, Brian. You don't understand. I hold very near and dear to my heart my family, and I will do anything to
I have an
protect
excellent
them.
rapport with your family.
I will do anything and everything to protect
I
my
still
family,
say hello to them every day.
including my wife and my
And they
daughter.
still say hello back.
And you guys had somebody come around to take pictures of my wife and my daughter. That's
Can't
the
talk
bottom
about,
line.
We cannot talk about your case or
I know
anybody
you can't
else's
talk-
case.
but I
You know
can.
that.
I can
You know
talk
that.
about-
We can't talk about your case
I
or
c-
anybody else's case.
I
You
can.
know that.
Brian, I can.
You can.
I can.
Fine.
Because I'm a
Fine.
taxpayer now. I'm not a firefighter.
And
So
I
you're not
agree with
gonna-
you.
You're not going to chastise me like I'm some little child.
We're not.
You are. You're getting into a debate with me over whether I can and can't say something. You just said it.
No, I didn't. I just said
You
we
can't.
cannot.
Okay, that's great. But I am going to say it because I want the public to know
That's
the
fine.
type of
Nobody has
things
said,
that are going
I
on.
agree with you. I'm confident, I won't speak for my colleagues, but I'm confident they feel the same way. As a taxpayer, you can come in for the rest of the year. You can run for fire commissioner in 3 weeks. You can do all of it. We all agree with that. We
can.
would encourage that. I'm from a family of firefighters in law enforcement, up and down the line. Mr. Ranalone has 50 years plus of firefighting. There's nothing he loves more. Tom Roach has over 40 years of firefighting, one of the busiest firehouses in the country.
Excuse me, but wasn't he stationed on City Island?
I don't know where he was stationed.
Okay, so
The
City
point
Island
is,
is not busy.
nobody feels anything but appreciation for you.
Okay, but I felt this, what's the word I'm looking for? I felt like I was treated unfairly.
And we're not discounting how you feel. Nobody's going to tell you how you feel. It would be not our place to do that.
Because I put
But
25
we
and
don't
a
feel
half
that.
years-
I'm telling you, I don't feel that way about you. I'm appreciative.
I
I
put
know you're
tw-
an excellent firefighter and an excellent person who would commit CPR.
Can I ask
don't
you?
feel that way.
Can I ask you a question as a commissioner? Did you ever go around and check up on other guys that called that sick?
I can't answer any of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
You know that.
Well, I know that you did. Okay, so
I can't answer
And
it.
I also know for a fact that you almost had an accident when I was driving the tower ladder because you were literally on the back bumper of the tower ladder with me driving.
That's you saying it?
No,
I
that's
can't
me
answer that.
knowing it because we were going to a call on Garth Road and you were right behind me where I couldn't see you in the side view mirrors. And anybody that drives a commercial vehicle knows that if you can't see the person in your side view mirrors, they are way too close. And Commissioner Ranalone, you know what happened to us that time when we were responding to a call where the taxi cab decided he was going to run into the back of engine 31. And we were going to an emergency call. And you basically told the guy, hey, listen, you can get the information, you come back, but we're going to proceed to the call. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. I'd like to follow up with one thing. I know my board members would never target a firefighter, which was mentioned. I think we all love the firefighters. It's been demonstrated. This is a job that's a very difficult job to do. I've been told from the day I got it till even just last week, you will never make everyone happy. We care about the firefighters. We love the firefighters, including also law enforcement. So we just wanted to say that.
Okay, that's great. That's absolutely great. But there also comes a point where you have to sort of just ease up a little bit on the members. That's all I'm going to
I
say.
appreciate that. You're entitled to come out and say that. I actually, honestly, from my own heart, I'd love to see you run for fire commissioner.
I'll consider it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too,
Good night,
thank you.
Kenny.
Okay, let's move on.
No way, Mike.
We'll see.
It totally depends.
Hi, I'm Michael Parisi, 16 Lockwood Avenue. I'd like to talk about Station 4, and I'd like to talk about Commissioner Ranalone, and I'm sure, and I know you gentlemen that are on the board have been there, but Commissioner Ranalone is spending a lot of time down Station 4, and he's watching and asking questions when the contractors are down there working, and the chief, Tween, has been down there also. But I just have a question. Where are we going to get this money from? Is it going to come out of the general funds, or are we going to have to float a bond to do this work? You know, the corrections in Chester Heights, the station down there.
You mean the additional 80,000, that one?
Pardon?
The additional 80,000 just came up
Yes.
tonight? Well, it's gonna be, I think it's part of our, we have some in our permissive referendum. And we may have to go into the general fund if we, go through that money.
And then I think we have additional money in the building repair reserve, right? Don't we have a little bit left in that? But we would have to do another permissive referendum to touch that money, which is what, we have to put it out in the paper for like a month or something?
What about the grant? Or is that
That's for the tower ladder.
It's earmarked already,
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
What's the bridge for Mr. Parisi? The number to bridge from where we've been able to pay for it to where we need to get to? If you can guess. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm like,
I don't know, because what comes next? I don't know, if
Yeah.
if we're not expecting too many more change orders on this phase, again, we're not talking about being significantly over the permissive referendum, but if there's, the next phase is gonna be another $800,000.
I mean, I can't imagine, this was for heating and air conditioning and
Yeah, I don't expect too many more change orders, but you will get an invoice from the mechanical engineer and Joe Paterno, because they had to do additional work for these change orders, so I anticipate.
And we do have other money in the budget for the architects specifically. My bigger question for Chester Heights overall is there another phase after this?
so I want to, and you're concerned about the money, Mike, is, my colleagues were more involved with this,
Yeah, I'm
but
just
as,
asking-
as the steps I could see from time to time, the emails, which you're entitled to
I'm just
FOIA.
asking the question as...
Understood,
as
but there
being a
were
tax-
moments,
as being a taxpayer in the town, I mean, when you do things, you take walls down, you don't know what's behind stuff.
Right. That
and
was
you
where I
have-
was
You have to
going.
go forward with it. Hopefully, there won't be any more change orders, or any more money being spent, and we can go forward and get those men back in that house. Do we have an idea when the house will be?
I mean, I'm hoping by the end of the year, which is when our lease is up. I mean, Commissioner Ranalone, once they get the okay on these change orders, I mean, hopefully they'll get everything in. I mean, once we have functional bathrooms, I mean, I'm ready to move the guys in.
Right.
You know, we haven't had heat in that building in 4 years. We put
Right.
baseboard electric heat
Yeah.
in all the rooms, kitchens, not the bathrooms, because they gutted
I
them.
know that, Brian.
But the dormitory and the kitchens have baseboard heat, so
Right.
as soon as we can get the bathrooms up and running, I'm gonna move the guys back in,
Right.
so.
The plumbers-
Hopefully, it'll be before the end of the year,
Okay.
but, you know, that gives them 6, 7 weeks to get to work now that the board has approved these, change
Change
orders.
orders, well, I know the plumbers have been there, and they've been working diligently.
Right,
and,
yeah.
They've been there early in the morning and past 5 o'clock in the evening, you know, working and doing what they have
Yeah.
to do to get that house back into shape. And like I said, Commissioner Ranelon has been on the scene down there, and no pun intended, I know all you gentlemen that are on the board have been down there and been looking too, and asking questions, as well as the chief.
At some point or another, we've all been down there, and
said
we've
that
all
already.
spent
I
time,
said-
even me, believe it or not.
I said
Yeah,
that,
I
you know.
know.
You guys have been there. But I just think, you know, it's coming to a time that, you know, that house should be back, and those men should be back in that house, because, you know, where they are in that schoolhouse is ridiculous.
Everyone is trying. Nobody wants them there in the schoolhouse. And the one thing is also the membership. You don't want to send them back into a firehouse that may have some
Well, yeah,
issues.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So every
no-
time we open something up, right? The recently opened something up, we found asbestos that had
Yeah,
to
you
be.
opened up the walls in the bathroom, you know, and you found the asbestos in the
Right,
pipe.
right.
You can't prevent that from happening, you
you-
know?
you have to deal
And
with
gotta
it, and you have to
correct
deal with it
and you have to
appropriately.
you have to take corrective action, not the negative action that was done in the past.
Right.
So the corrective action is being done now, you guys are on top of it. So with the money that's being spent, let's just hope we're not gonna, you know, spend any more money, but spend what we have and and do the corrections, and get those firefighters back into that house again, okay?
We're almost there.
Hope so,
We're all hopeful.
okay.
I'll have
And
to find
I like-
something else to do with my days once they're finished with that.
I beg your pardon?
I'll have to find something else to do with my days when they
You
finish
just have
the
to relocate
firehouse.
I
to
know,
Station
but you're-
3. That's the
I
next
live-
project.
and,
We'll have to come up
you know,
to North
living
End,
across the street, and I go down there, and, you know, and I see you, and I ask questions too, and every time I ask, I do get an answer. And Chief Tween, I have seen you down there.
Yeah, I go
and
down
I've
there a couple
spoken to
times a
you. You're
week to
always
check
down there.
on,
You're down-
to
you
check
live
on the
down there.
progress, make sure stuff's getting done.
No, I
you
know,
know,
I know you want to get
so.
it back in. So
I mean,
that's
they had
it.
things like the bathrooms on the second floor, they had to, you know, they're changing from steam to hot water. So
Right.
they pressure tested the steam lines going upstairs, and they're leaking.
Yeah.
So they can't connect hot water to leaking pipes.
No,
So
but you-
things like that are change orders added to this $80,000.
That I have seen, you know, you see
They're actually
what's
gonna
going
put
on.
in baseboard heat in the upstairs bathrooms because we can't occupy the second floor until they put an elevator in. So that's gonna be years down the road.
Down the road.
So we're just gonna do baseboard heat to just have minimal heat up there.
Just one question. Now, we know that the weather is changing. Remember, we had
Yeah.
problems last time. We're gonna turn the water off so we don't have a problem if we have no heat in that building, so we don't bust the main again? Remember we broke
No,
the main?
I mean, the new boilers are, I mean, they're in place and they're connecting them, so hopefully within a week or two,
They'll be-
the new boilers, which are gonna be connected to the old radiators, will be working.
All right, so it'll be
So,
charged and
part
ready to
of the
go.
new plan was to, you know, do HVAC for the bathrooms, because we thought about getting mini splints, but the mechanical engineer said that would not be a good idea due to the moistures in a bathroom, because it's high humidity and that, you know, you could have mildew and stuff inside the mini split.
Right, growing.
So,
Okay, all
so
right.
things
you
like
want-
that have changed, you know, slightly changed our plans, and then it has to get redesigned by the mechanical engineer, and then they get a price for it, and then that's why you get a change order like these two for the sidewalk and the mechanical systems.
Just that it's a lot of money, you know, and,
No,
you know.
it is, yeah.
okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you.
I didn't mention in my report, but Saturday is Veterans Day, so I just want to thank all the veterans for their service. I know the union is having their memorial service at the same day, so I'll be attending that. I don't think I'll be able to attend the Veterans Memorial Service, which is at 11 a.m. at California Road and White Plains Road. We will send an engine and a truck there, just so we have representatives, but, you know, I usually like to attend the veteran ceremonies, but I'll be at the union's memorial service.
11 o'clock on California, I think.
I think, yeah, at the
Followed by a
memorial.
breakfast like last year at the senior center.
Yeah, I don't know, is the public invited to that? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they
I
came
know
la-
the veterans go there for
They
breakfast
came-
afterwards.
They came last year,
Okay,
so I guess public is,
So,
yeah, public is
okay.
welcome to come and Last year's a very nice ceremony. It was brought inside because I think it was gonna rain, but I think they decided to have it back in there again. I mean, the outside service would be where it was. Last year's service was
Yep,
brought
yeah.
inside. Followed by breakfast. And,
Right, right.
yeah, the room was packed, so, same thing for this Friday, this Saturday. And again, the union's having their breakfast at Fogarty's.
Yeah, at
Saturday.
10 a.m., yeah.
You wanna come?
See if they invited me.
They invited you.
Hope so. So nice to them.
Okay, any commissioner comments?
No, please.
It's already been said.
Oh, I thought
I've been at Station 4, except for the 2 weeks I was on vacation, I've been at Station 4 Monday through Friday, and, you know, there are days when a lot of work gets done, and there are other days when little, if any, work gets done. Hopefully, once these change orders go through, and we can get everybody in there, the plumbers, electricians, and the carpenters, it should proceed rather quickly then.
Yeah, they had their inspections this week. I think they had the electrical inspection was done earlier this week, and the plumbing inspection was last week, so they got the okay to put the sheet rock up on the bathroom walls, so it'll start to make a lot of progress once they get them walls
Great.
closed up.
Great.
He was doing
There's
that
already
today.
have some sheet rock up on the walls,
Yeah,
right?
he was doing it today,
so,
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Ben?
Let me just say on the chief there, to reiterate, with Veteran Day is coming, I just want to extend the board and tell them, everybody, we want to thank the men and women who served, extending my thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, and you too.
Thank you.
Well, that being said, make a motion to adjourn. It's now almost 8 o'clock. All in favor?
Second that motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night.
All right.
We're good.